Hello, BookTube. Today we're doing a bookshelf tour, the fourth big wall bookcase, the third shelf, part 6, which again is religion. So we'll start here with this beat up old Oxford Bible Atlas, second edition. I did a tag a while back that asked what book do you keep hold of for sentimental reasons. My father used this book in seminary, and then I think he used it for years and years of sermon writing. And it's a bit the worse for wear compared to what I usually like to keep on my shelf, but I keep it for sentimental reasons. Let me move the camera over so that I can give you a better look at some of the pages. So it's your typical Bible Atlas. Let's see. This was first published in '62. The second edition was from '74. It's a bit worse for wear. The second volume, straighten out here, is The Oxford History of the Biblical World, edited by Michael D. Coogan. New York, Oxford University Press, 1998. So, in the beginning, the earliest history by Michael D. Coogan. Before Israel, Syria, Palestine, and the Bronze Age by Wayne T. Petard. Bitter Lives, Israel in and Out of Egypt by Carol A. Redmount. Forging an Identity, The Emergence of Ancient Israel, Lawrence E. Stagger. There Was No King in Israel, The Era of Judges by Joanne Hackett. Kinship and Kingship, The Early Monarchy by Carol Myers. Land Divided, Judah and Israel from the Death of Solomon to the Fall of Samaria by Edward F. Campbell Jr. Into Exile, from the Assyrian Conquest of Israel to the Fall of Babylon by Mordecai Kogan. Israel Among the Nations, the Persian Period by Mary Joan Winleath. Between Alexandria and Antioch, Jews and Judaism in the Hellenistic Period by Leonard J. Greenspoon. Visions of Kingdoms, from Pompey to the First Jewish Revolt by Amy Jill Levine. Churches in Context, The Jesus Movement in the Roman World by Daniel N. Showalter. And then the epilogue is Transitions and Trajectories, Jews and Christians in the Roman Empire by Barbara Geller. Then they have a chronological table of events, which is helpful, a general bibliography, notes on the contributors, you want to know who they are, and what their qualifications are, illustration credits, and the index. And it is beautifully illustrated. I'll give you some idea there of a satellite image of the area. And moving right along here, get a little organized. We once again return to Karen Armstrong. And this is in the series Books That Changed the World. It's the Bible, a biography. Pretty thing. And this is Atlantic Monthly Press out of New York, 2007. So, this series of books that changed the world, at the point this book was published, they had included Plato's Republic by Simon Blackburn, Machiavelli's The Prince by Philip Bobbitt, Darwin's Origin of Species by Janet Brown, Thomas Paine's Rights of Man by Christopher Hitchens, The Quran by Bruce Lawrence, Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey by Alberto Manguel, which we have on the show. On the Wealth of Nations by P.J. O'Rourke, Clausewitz on War by Hugh Strachan, and Marx Das Kapital by Francis Wien. So you can see the whole list there. The Bible, the single word at the heart of Christianity, is a spiritual guide for one out of every 3 people in the world. Translated into over 2,000 languages, it is also the world's most widely distributed book and a perennial bestseller. At least 25 million copies were sold in the United States in 2005 alone. But the Bible is a complex work with a complicated and obscure history, made up of 66 books written by various authors and divided into 2 testaments. Its contents have changed over the centuries. The Bible has been transformed by translation and, through interpretation, has developed manifold meanings to various religions, denominations, and sects. Well, there's a picture of Karen Armstrong. Good book, good series of books, of the ones I've read. Next, Rome and Jerusalem, The Clash of Ancient Civilizations by Martin Goodman. A magisterial history of a titanic struggle between the Roman and Jewish worlds that led to the destruction of Jerusalem. And this is Alfred A. Knopf, New York, 2007. There. Good end notes. Map of the city. And moving right along. The Dead Sea Scrolls and the First Christians, Essays and Translation by Robert Eisenman, co-author of the international bestseller, The Dead Sea Scrolls Uncovered. He had a bit of a hand to play when the Dead Sea Scrolls were tied up by scholars with rights to study them and then to publish, and a lot of that went by the wayside eventually. So, a book of essays about the Dead Sea Scrolls by a scholar who's worked with them extensively. This was published in 1996 by Element out of Shaftesbury, Dorset, Rockport, Mass, and Brisbane, Queensland. So if you enjoy reading about Dead Sea Scrolls. This one here was a standard, again, no dust jacket, probably because I destroyed it while I was in school. This is A History of Israel, 3rd edition by John Bright, Westminster Press, Philadelphia, and this would have been 1981. And this was the history of Israel that we would study in seminary. So I've had this for a long time. The next thing's a 2-volume set. Again, no dust jackets. I'll just show you what they look like together. Volumes 1 and 2. This is sort of a sentimental thing. My father had used these in seminary, and I did too. And the professor's signature that originally owned the books is in it. So this is Gerhard von Rad, Old Testament Theology, Volume 1, The Theology of Israel's Historical Traditions, translated by D.M.G. Stalker, Harper & Brothers, Publishers, New York, 1962. Title page. Let's see, there's a typical page. So, both my dad and I studied that. So this is, Volume 2 is The Theology of Israel's Prophetic Traditions. And this would have been from 65, so a couple years later. Keep those around. And then finally for this shelf, big old bruiser of a thing. The Oxford History of Christian Worship, edited by Jeffrey Wainwright and Karen B. Westerfield Tucker. And let's see here. Oxford, 2006. So the contents would have Christian Worship, Scriptural Basis and Theological Frame by Jeffrey Wainwright, The Apostolic Tradition by Maxwell E. Johnson, The Empire Baptized by John F. Baldovin, Society of Jesuits, The Ancient Oriental Churches, Christine Shellot. Excursus, The Maronites, Lucas von Rompuy. The Conversions of the Nations by Michael S. Driscoll. Western Christendom by Timothy Thibodeau. Byzantine and Slavic Orthodoxy by Alexander Rentel. Well, it just goes on and on. I'm not going to read them all. It gives you a flavor. So here you'll have who's doing the article and what their qualifications are, which I'm always a big fan of. The typical Oxford University Press with these types of books. They do wonderful color illustrations. They get a couple sections of them. And end of each article will be bibliography, notes, little inset boxes of interest. So they describe it on the back as a comprehensive history of Christian worship from its beginnings through the present, an international roster of expert contributors, covers the entire geographic reach of Christianity, contains 240 illustrations, bringing to the page the richness of art and culture associated with Christian worship, an accessible and invaluable resource for anyone interested in the history of Christianity. So that was the fourth Big Wall bookcase, the third shelf, part 6, all religious books. Part 7 coming up will be the same. So thank you, BookTube.